So I would like to tell you about my contribution to science. I was a National Park Service ranger up in Glacier Bay National Park, up in southeast Alaska. And it is a place, it is famous for its mountains and its glaciers and its humpback whales that come up there every summer to feed. And so the more I learned about these humpback whales, the more I put it on my bucket list to follow those whales down to Hawaii in the winter months and snorkel with them, because that is when the males are singing. And they are singing to attract mates. And their song is this unearthly sound, and it's something like So there I was in Hawaii. I had bought a ticket on a commercial snorkeling operation. We were out in the boat. There was whales in the water all around us. I had on my flippers, my wetsuit, I had my snorkel, I had my little fanny pack full of emergency gear, because I'm a ranger, I'm kind of a nerd with that. But there was so much singing going on in the water that the metal hull of the boat was almost vibrating. So my snorkel partner and I, we flipped over the side of the boat, and there we are in the water with these whales. And there is one large male, and he is swimming back and forth. And he is singing. And being in the water with humpback whales is not like being in the water with sharks or orca, because they don't have teeth. They have these baleen plates, but they are huge animals. So we're watching this male, and then this female shows up, and she's got a little calf. So I start watching the calf, and then I look up at my snorkel buddy just in time to see my snorkel partner go, and all of a sudden, I am just enveloped by this huge whale mouth. And my snorkel is ripped off, I cannot breathe, I'm thinking, this is it. And then I black out. Now when I came to, I could breathe. I was on something, it was soft and wet, and it was moving slightly. And eventually I could sit up, I could hear the sound of dripping water. It was like being in a big cavern. And so I lit one of my emergency matches, and I could see that I was on something soft and pink. And so I stood up and I started to walk around, I kept lighting these matches, and then it dawned on me that I was in the belly of the whale. Now, I kept walking around trying to get a feel for the place, and you know how animals will eat something and it gets stuck in their stomach? Well, in the corner of this whale's belly, I found the wreckage of a ship. It was just part of the ship, but there was a lamp with oil, so I was able to light that, and I could see. And that was how I kind of was able to get a lay of the whale. Now, if you have never been in the belly of a whale before, or studied whale anatomy, that's a good thing for this story, because inside the whale, it is a lot simpler than you think. So you come in through the mouth, you go past the baleen plates, you go past that little punching bag in the back of its throat, you know, the uvula, and then it just opens up to this huge cavern. It's like a big gymnasium. And then up there I could see the blowhole, and the blowhole would open, and I would see blue sky and clouds, and then it would close. And I was thinking, why did the whale swallow me? And was it going to swallow another big gulp of water? Was I going to drown? And it seemed like my only escape was through that blowhole, but it was like, how was I going to get up there? Well, luckily, that wreckage in the ship, I poke around, and I found this crate of food. I don't know how old it was, but it was still good. And then what really helped me psychologically was there was a bookshelf with a really eclectic collection of books. So it seemed like I was going to be here for some time, so I took the thickest book off the shelf, opened it up, Call Me Ishmael. So I read all of Moby Dick, even those long, lengthy descriptions of whaling. All the while the whale is traveling along, and I gotta tell you, by the time I closed the cover, I was like, no wonder this whale is so pissed off. So then, I'd been in the whale a long time, and I was thinking, I really need some exercise. So the next book I took off the shelf was How to Tap Dance in 12 Easy Lessons. I had always wanted to tap dance. I'd never made the time. Now it seemed like I had nothing but time. So I started to tap dance. And, you know, as I was picking it up, you know, I was at about lesson 4 when I noticed that when I tap danced, rather than that easy motion of the whale, where it was obviously traveling somewhere, all of a sudden there'd be this spasm, and I would sort of shoot up into the air. Well, as I got into like lesson 7, lesson 8, it was getting a little bit more sophisticated, the spasms were a little stronger. And around lesson 9, that was when there was this spasm, and I shot up into the air, almost to the blowhole. And then I got an idea. Now, unbeknownst to me, back in Glacier Bay, the last the rangers had heard of me, I was swallowed by this whale. So they were planning this memorial service for me. And what they were going to do is they were going to go out in a boat, and they were going to say all sorts of nice things about me. And then, as a final act, they were going to take my ranger flat hat, and they were going to toss it out over the waves, and it was going to sink down. It was going to be really powerful and moving. So I was in that whale, and I was at lesson 12, and I am like, I have got to go for it. And so I am just dancing as hard as I can, and there is this massive spasm, and I go shooting up. I shoot through the blowhole, up into the clear blue sky. I see the familiar mountains and glaciers of Glacier Bay. The whale has migrated back. And this happens at the exact same time that they have taken my ranger flat hat and tossed it out over the sea. So as I am flying up, the hat is coming towards me. I catch it on my head. I turn to my companions. They see me, I see them. I splash down in the water, and I am saved. And the whale just does this without even so much as a goodbye. And after that, I've got to tell you that I was telling the scientists in the park about my ordeal, and one of the scientists said, you know, I don't think anything like that has ever been documented. And so I wrote it up. It was published in Scientific American in March. It is called Tickling Whales Through Tap Dancing, and you should look it up.